Today, I'm going to show you how you can increase your rankings and visibility in Google Maps and in Google Local Search. Hey everyone, I'm Bobby Holland with BipperMedia.com, and we've been helping local and small businesses for more than 10 years grow their business by increasing their rankings and increasing their visibility in Google Maps and in Google Local Search. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So Google actually has an article where they tell you the 3 main factors that influence your rankings in Google Maps. And the 3 areas that they specify is number 1 is relevance. All right, number 2 is distance. And number 3 is prominence. And I hope I've spelled all 3 of those right. So we're going to dive into each one of these components. And if you find that article by Google where they specify, they really just kind of give a very short couple of sentences for each of these variables, and it doesn't really go in depth. So Google gives a very general overview. So hopefully this video will help you to understand these 3 factors and how you can actually leverage them to increase your rankings in Google Maps. So let's start with number 1, relevance. Okay, relevance is basically the fundamental business data associated with your Google My Business listing. All right, we refer to that as a citation. So a citation is made up of 7 variables or 7 data points, and you can see these on your Google My Business listing, and that is your business name, your street address, your city, state, zip code, phone number, and your website URL. Those 7 variables are what comes together to make up your business data for your Google My Business listing. Now, relevance, a couple of ways to really dramatically increase the relevance of your business is number 1, accuracy. So I'll just put over here, accuracy. So the accuracy of your business data on your Google My Business listing. Now that might sound very fundamental and basic, but here's the most common mistakes that we see. So if I have an office at 125 East Main Street, Suite A, on my Google My Business listing, if I don't make sure it's 100% accurate, Google will just pull in whatever data they can determine the best they can, and they might be missing the East, or it might be missing the Suite A from my business data. So number 1 is the accuracy, okay? And then number 2 is your citation portfolio, or, well, we'll just call it portfolio. And what I mean by portfolio is your citation data that's published across the web. Okay, so a lot of the directories that are out there, a lot of the data aggregators, they will actually pull whatever information they can find on your business and they'll start distributing it across the web. All right, so you can influence the portfolio or your citation distribution portfolio by making sure that that data that's published across the web is 100% accurate and consistent with your Google My Business listing. So relevance is all about your GMB, okay? I'm actually gonna change colors here so it helps to see things. So relevance is all about your Google My Business listing, and specifically about the accuracy and the portfolio, or the collected whole of all of your citations published across the web. Okay, so that's number 1. And sorry, the color is going to be changing here. All right, number 2 is distance. Okay, so distance has 2 different meanings, okay? Number 1 is, an example would be if I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm trying to find a business that's in, say, Boston, Massachusetts. So I'm searching for, maybe I'm flying up there and I want to find a great, Mexican restaurant in Boston, Massachusetts. But I'm in Atlanta, so I might search something like Mexican restaurant in Boston, right? My current location is Atlanta, so Google's going to give me the general Boston areas Mexican restaurants based on the authority of those restaurants. So that's That's scenario number one. If I'm located outside, we'll just call it outside of the geographic area. Scenario number two is if I'm located within. So if I'm located inside the geographic area, if that's the case, then let's say I'm now in Boston, Massachusetts, okay? If I'm in Boston and I just search something like Mexican restaurants near me, Google is now going to use my exact location as the starting point for determining the relevance or determining the distance of Mexican restaurants near me. Okay, does that make sense? So distance, the two factors is one, if you're outside of the geographic area that you're searching or trying to find a business in, and then number two, if I'm actually located in that specific geographic area, then Google's going to use my exact location. So a couple of examples of keyword phrases that are inside the geographic area might be, for example, Mexican restaurants near me, or a law firm near me, or dental practice near me. Those are examples of inside. Outside would be those same searches, but I'm using the city name in that search. So Mexican restaurant in Boston, or a dental practice in Atlanta, things of that nature. Okay, and then number three is prominence. Prominence is in essence the authority, the overall authority of your business on the web, okay? Prominence is how authoritative Google sees your business relative to your competitors, okay? One of the best ways, and without getting too deep and complicated, the best ways to increase your prominence and your authority is through what we call high DA guest posts. Okay. High DA guest post, in other words, the simple term for that is backlinks. Okay, so when it comes to Google Map rankings, and this is something that most local small businesses do not realize, is the rankings of your position, where you show up in Google Maps, depending on the proximity of people searching and how they're searching. A lot of your rankings in Google Maps is actually determined by your prominence, or the authority, sometimes referred to as the domain authority of your business website, right? So for any Google My Business listing, you're able to attribute your website URL to that Google My Business listing. When you do that, Google then uses your website's domain authority as a very prominent, a very definitive factor in determining your rankings in Google Maps. So the thing that most businesses don't realize is that the level of your domain authority will directly influence your position and your rankings in Google Maps. Or another way to say that is to increase your rankings. So to increase your rankings in Google Maps, focus on building more domain authority to your website. Okay, it's a very strong ranking factor. Or in other words, the determining factors in Google Maps, Google will look at the backlink portfolio of your website URL. So this is the three ways that you can, three areas that you can focus on to increase your rankings and increase your visibility in Google Maps. And these are actually the three attributes that Google gives as well in their article titled How to Increase Your Rankings in Google Maps. So number one is relevance, which is all about the quality of your business data and your Google My Business listing, the accuracy, consistency, and the quality of that business data, both on your Google My Business listing, making sure it matches, it's an exact representation of your actual address. And then number two, how accurate and consistent is your citation portfolio, all your business data that's published across the web. Number two is distance. It's really a proximity factor, okay? Distance, Google's using the proximity of the person searching. Am I in Atlanta searching for something in Boston, or am I physically located in Boston searching for a particular business near me. So distance is very much a function of proximity, okay? And then number 3, prominence. Prominence really refers to the domain authority in a very simple terms, the domain authority of your website and the domain authority of your business across the web. And like I said, one of the most definitive ways for you to influence your domain authority and your prominence is to build high quality, highly authoritative backlinks back to your website URL. So I hope this was helpful. These are the 3 variables, the 3 factors that determine your ranking and visibility in Google Maps, and it's the 3 core areas that you can start working on to start influencing your rankings and getting higher rankings and more visibility. So I hope that information was helpful. I'll have a link in the description below. If you would like to reach out to us and schedule a call, someone from our team would love to get on a phone call with you and talk you through each of these variables. We can do a free local SEO scan where we can measure the relevance and we can measure, you'll be able to see a percentage of error. We call it an error rate. We'll be able to show you your error rate of your business data across the web. I can actually include a link in that below as well, so you can just run that for free. So if you have any questions, go ahead and schedule a call with us and we'll talk to you soon.